Take Her Up Tenderly, from Thurber Country by James Thurber. I have a bone to pick with the singing Andrews sisters, known to their many friends as the Girls. A few years ago, with the assistance of a man named Hughie Prince, they made up their own version of Sweet Molly Malone and had it copyrighted. In this arrangement, Molly does not die or even get sick. The old ballad has long been in public domain, and anybody can do what he wants with Molly, and almost everybody has. As every barroom quartet knows, the authentic Molly Malone died of a fever, or favor, and no one could save her, and that was the end of Sweet Molly Malone. It is a well-known fact in Dublin's fair city, and everywhere else, that her ghost wheels her barrow through streets wide and narrow, crying cockles and mussels, alive, alive, oh. The Girls didn't want to sing it that way. I have it on the authority of someone close to them that they don't like anything to be sad or anybody to die. Their song ends like this. So they both wheel a barrow through streets wide and narrow, the man that she wed and Sweet Molly Malone. It depressed me terribly when I heard the Girls sing it that way over the air one windy evening in 1950. That night I woke long before the infant morn was nigh, and thought of Mary, who went to call the cattle home across the sands o' Dee, and never came back, and of what a dose of Andrew's ready relief might do for her. I could see her returning safely home, with the lowing herd ahead of her, and a mooing farm-hand at her side. No longer would the boatmen hear her calling the cattle home across the sands o' Dee in the sweet voice of that death which Wallace Stevens has named the Mother of Beauty. I fell to thinking of other dead and dying heroines, from Juliet to Clementine. Beautiful Evelyn Hope, the Girls might sing of Tennyson's Maiden Dead at 16, is getting better. I started to drop off to sleep again, but was jolted wide awake by 3 cheery voices instantly chanting, I am mending, Egypt, mending. I worry about what Mr. Prince and the Girls might do to Wordsworth's Lucy if they ever set her to music. The case history of our heroine ends this way now. She lived alone, and few could know when Lucy ceased to be, but she is in her grave, and oh, the difference to me. The saving of Lucy, I am afraid, might be managed like this. She lived alone, and few could know when Lucy married me, but we were wed in June, and oh, the difference to me. Let me remind the Girls that 2 violets by a mossy stone are not twice as pretty as one, and that you simply cannot say, fair as a star when only 2 are shining in the sky. I would not go so far as to prescribe death for all heroines. Sometimes it actually fails to touch the ladies with any discernible radiance at all, as in the case of Sweet Alice, whom Ben Bolt's friend remembers with such shocking clarity in the Thomas English verses. He recalls, as you know, that she wept with delight when you gave her a smile, and trembled with fear at your frown. Old Irv Cobb, in a fine monograph he wrote years ago about literary lunatics, pointed out that Alice's loud and mindless behavior, when confronted by a simple smile or frown, made her the greatest moron in poetry, worthy of a place, a niche, or so, above the skipper immortalized by the line, "We are lost," the captain shouted, as he staggered down the stairs. As I remember it, Cobb preferred the company of the crazy captain to that of the loony Alice, and I would go all the way with him, if I could swim. I don't know whatever became of the panicky captain, but Mr. English tells about the end of Alice in these lines. In the old churchyard in the valley, Ben Bolt, in a corner obscure and alone, they have fitted a slab of the granite so grey, and Alice lies under the stone. Alice's lonely end, alas, doesn't do anything for her, and the student of mythical heroines is forced to the conclusion that death is sometimes only the stepmother of beauty. There are those whom her cold kiss would disfigure. I am glad, for example, that neither Whittier nor Stonewall Jackson put a bullet through poor old Barbara Frietchie, and that the clapper on which Bessie was swinging at curfew time that day did not come loose from the bell. But those are aesthetic problems, too abstruse to go into here. Besides, I want to go back to Molly Malone for a moment. The day I heard the Andrews sisters sing their sanguine version of the old ballad was March 17th, and I had thought for a while that the girls kept Molly alive so as not to dampen the spirits of the Irish on St. Patrick's Day. I took this up with my friend John Aloysius McNulty, who said simply, "The spirits of the Irish cannot be dampened on St. Patrick's Day." I should have known that.